Right, settle back with a cup of tea or a glass of wine, for here we have an account by the monk of William of Malmesbury, writing in the 1120s, of the Battle of Hastings. The battle fought on the 14th of October 1066 marked the beginning of Norman rule in England. The battle took place between the forces of William, Duke of Normandy, and Harold Godwinson, the King of England. The courageous leaders mutually prepared for battle, each according to his national custom. The English, as we have heard, passed the night without sleep in drinking and singing, and in the morning proceeded without delay towards the enemy. All were on foot, armed with battle axes, and covering themselves in front by the junction of their shields. They formed an impenetrable body, which would have secured their safety that day, had not the Normans, by a feigned flight, induced them to open their ranks, which till that time, according to their custom, were closely compacted. The king himself on foot stood with his brother near the standard, in order that, while all shared equal danger, none might think of retreating. This standard William sent after the victory to the Pope. It was sumptuously embroidered with gold and precious stones in the form of a man fighting. On the other side, the Normans passed the whole night in confessing their sins and received the sacrament. In the morning, their infantry with bows and arrows formed the vanguard, while their cavalry, divided into wings, were thrown back. The Earl, with serene countenance, declared aloud that God would favour his as being the righteous side, called for his arms. And presently, when through the hurry of his attendants he had put on his hauberk the hind part before, he corrected the mistake with a laugh, saying, "My dukedom shall be turned into a kingdom." Then, beginning the song of Roland, that the warlike example of that man might stimulate the soldiers, and calling on God for assistance, the battle commenced on both sides. They fought with ardour, never giving ground, for great part of the day. Finding this, William gave a signal to his party that by a feigned flight they should retreat. Through this device, the close body of the English, opening for the purpose of cutting down the straggling enemy, brought upon itself swift destruction, for the Normans, facing about, attacked them, thus disordered, and compelled them to fly. In this manner, deceived by a stratagem, they met an honourable death in avenging their country. Nor indeed were they at all wanting to their own revenge, as, by frequently making a stand, they slaughtered their pursuers in heaps. For getting possession of an eminence, they drove down the Normans, when roused with indignation and anxiously striving to gain the higher ground, into the valley beneath, where, easily hurling their javelins and rolling down stones on them as they stood below, they destroyed them to a man. Besides, by a short passage with which they were acquainted, avoiding a deep ditch, they trod underfoot such a multitude of their enemies in that place, that they made the hollow level with the plain by the heaps of carcasses. This vicissitude of first one party conquering and then the other prevailed as long as the life of Harold continued, but when he fell from having his brain pierced with an arrow, the flight of the English ceased not until night. The valour of both leaders was here eminently conspicuous. Harold, not merely content with the duty of a general in exhorting others, diligently entered into every soldier-like office. Often would he strike the enemy when coming to close quarters, so that none could approach him with impunity, for immediately the same blow levelled both horse and rider. Wherefore, as I have related, receiving the fatal arrow from a distance, he yielded to death. One of the soldiers with the sword gashed his thigh as he lay prostrate, for which shameful and cowardly action he was branded with ignominy by William and dismissed the service. William too was equally ready to encourage by his voice and by his presence, to be the first to rush forward to attack the thickest of the foe. Thus, everywhere raging, everywhere furious, he lost 3 choice horses, which were that day pierced under him. The dauntless spirit and vigour of the intrepid general, however, still persisted, though often called back by the kind remonstrance of his bodyguard. He still persisted, till approaching night crowned him with complete victory. And no doubt the hand of God so protected him that the enemy should draw no blood from his person, though they aimed so many javelins at him. This was a fatal day to England, a melancholy havoc of our dear country through its change of masters, for it long since adopted the manners of the Angles. Thank you for watching the YouTube channel of Medieval Chronicles, and please subscribe to hear more original texts from the English Middle Ages. Thank you from London, and goodbye.